We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the February 5th, 2024 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners work session. This morning, our work session is going to focus in on emergency management and what it is and what it does. So, Dustin, turn it over to you.
Good morning, sirs. Dustin Nichols, Emergency Management. Over the past few weeks, there's been a lot of questions coming to our office and kind of surrounding our office on a few things. So we just wanted to take an opportunity in a work session to kind of explain and load you guys up with information should you get the same question. So that's what this is about real quick. So I just wanted to start with, this is emergency management through FEMA. This is what we do. It's build, sustain, and improve capability to mitigate. That is to make things less impactful if we can, or get rid of it. Prepare for, respond to, and recover from any threats, natural disasters, or otherwise. And we do that, and I know I'm kind of preaching the choir here a little bit because you've seen us do the THIRA, the Threat Hazard Identification Risk Assessment, and all that. So again, we're kind of preaching the choir here a little bit, but it also gets that information out there. So the Shawnee County Emergency Management, our mission statement is right here. The long and short of it is we are 24-hour-a-day shop trying to mitigate, prepare, and be aware of the threats that can be upon us and kind of bring everybody together to tackle this problem. So based on risk-based emergency preparedness program, that's really the key. When we look at the risk-based piece of that, that is our THIRA, the Threat Hazard Identification and Risk Assessment, where we go through and we review all the things that have happened here or could happen here, rank those in order of severity, notification, other things, and then that's what we know to put our attention to, especially at certain times of the year. For example, we know we get tornadoes, we get flooding. Those are natural disasters that happen all the time, but at certain times of the year they're more significant. But then you throw in a cyber attack that could threaten us. That's also stuff that we have to look at because we do analysis all the way down, and then we start looking at how those domino effects or cascading events could happen, and we try to prepare our community for those kind of events should they happen. So the basis for our authority comes from the statutes, of course, from Kansas statute. Each county within the state will establish an emergency management program, and that's what you have done, obviously, through the county. We've been established there through Article 3, Section 15 of the County Code. You've established a Shawnee County Emergency Management to do those jobs, and so that's what we do on a daily basis. I just want to focus on a couple of things today because these are the things that have popped up here recently that we just want to discuss. I'll take the top one, and I'll have Nelson come up and talk about public information. Nelson Castile's here as our operations officer, so he can definitely get in details because that's what he does. So I want to start with the KAR 5622A4, development of a coordination of a local emergency preparedness training program. When we look back at the earlier what we do, we're trying to prepare and mitigate. Those two things together leads to us to conduct training and exercises. Those training exercises are specific to those threats that we've identified in our Threat Hazard Identification and Risk Assessment. So when we're looking at the kinds of training that we're doing, we're looking at ICS, Incident Command System training, with all levels. That is how we come together as a community, especially if you have multiple response agencies showing up. Where's the priority? Who has what? And to tell you the truth, it's really straightforward. We train all of our first responders on that. We have continuous training. Our training cadre trains that throughout the state. Our ICS courses online. But once you hit a 300 level, which is the advanced portions of those classes, they have to be in classroom training, and those are the things that we teach locally as well. I bolded the ICS 402 because that's the ones we're trying to push through right now. We're currently setting up about 5 or 6 opportunities for our leadership, specifically geared towards senior officials and elected officials. It's a 2-hour class, a little over a 2-hour class, but it specifically talks about what their responsibility is as senior officials and elected officials. course, we have first responders that are on the ground doing their jobs. That it kind of explains what they're doing and the decision-making process there. This would be that next level up as far as the hierarchy and positions. What mayors do, what city council people do, what the county councilor is responsible for, etc. So those classes are now being formed, and we'll get those out, and hopefully we get good attendance on those. Public information officer training, that's geared specifically with emergencies in mind, crisis response, crisis communication. But we do offer those classes, and we teach that across the state as well. Just a couple weeks ago, we talked about community emergency response team, had that CERT class come through. We are currently setting up another class, so actually a few more classes, and we are also looking at the ADA side of that, making sure we can get that open to all citizens in Shawnee County, and also alternate languages as well. So we're looking at those kind of courses. Radio training, how to work a radio, talk on a radio, the regulations and the training that goes with that. Nelson can talk more about that specifically if you have questions. The risk threat assessment and preparedness training, that is our thyroid training. We do bring a group together with law enforcement, fire, ambulance, but we also look at our critical infrastructure, power, water, etc. We bring them in, and they tell us as a group what those threats are to those specific areas. Then we can decide analysis on how those things would happen. If one event were to happen, how that cascading event would happen. So then we can start preparing and mitigating for that as well. Technical hazards, we're talking about hazmat specifically, but it could also be something as a nuclear power plant, Wolf Creek. If that were something that happened there, what would our response be for that? Natural disasters, of course, we do a lot of those. We get a lot of requests for those to come and speak at safety days or safety luncheons and stuff like that. And that's what people kind of know emergency management for, mainly due to our sirens. So, and then we do customized training as well. We are part of an active shooter course for the hospitals that we do that probably quarterly. That has trained thousands of people throughout the state and actually multiple states. So we do customized training for those as well. And when I say active shooter, it's not the law enforcement part of the response where what to do when law enforcement comes in for that active shooter. This is pre-active shooter. How can you prevent it? How can you mitigate it? Can you do verbal judo or conflict de-escalation? We do that part of the training in conjunction with law enforcement, and then even afterwards, the recovery piece of that. So we also partner up on a lot of different training. So our exercise cadre, training exercises usually go to hand in hand. So exercises, if you're not familiar with those, are basically also drills. They're called drills. If you ever did a fire drill, fire alarm goes off, you go out, and we try to get that muscle memory going on with that. And the trouble with that is, I shouldn't say trouble, the challenge with that is getting people to understand how to exercise, how to go about those kind of drills versus just going through the motions, really think those things through. So we do simulation training, we do moulage, all those things to make it as real as possible, especially when we're working with our first responders. So they get some kind of muscle memory going or what they could see. Of course, it's not as real as it possibly could be, but we try to make it as real as it can and be safe about it. So we do training in exercises. That is, we teach people how to exercise using the Homeland Security Exercise Evaluation Program. Anything that's multi-agency needs to be coordinated from either agency to agency or from level to level, meaning county, city, county, state, etc. There's a specific process on how to do that, and that's also documenting those processes and all those kinds of things that are going to be needed potentially for grants or certifications at a later time. So we conduct all that level of training, and then training for actually implementing those exercises. And again, those are all usually custom made. And I want to just talk about a little bit. We exercise the criteria, basically. What's the actions that you're doing? We're not just exercising a tornado. It's what are those things, what are those items that you do when you're doing a tornado or when it happens? Because those things can be the exact same things if it was a tornado or a flood. Or so we're practicing potentially evacuations on how to do that, not the scenario itself. So we're really looking at how to do that. So our Shawnee County Emergency Operations Plan covers a lot of those things with specifically the threats and how we respond to them. Our EOC, Emergency Operations Center, how it works, and training those people who actually come to that, or notifications, which we're going to get into here in a second. And I know I've talked to all three of you specifically about how we do that specific, but we've adopted the National Incident Management System back in 2005. The National Incident Management System is a list of best practices. Nearly every nation, every county, and many cities throughout the entire nation have adopted this exact same process. So if we were asked to go to Houston to work a flood, they would be trained the exact same way. So we at least have a starting button to go from. So it's a standardized unity of effort that we work on. And so in turn, the city has also adopted that, and they run off our emergency operations plan. So those contacts that we have at the city that we currently work with, they operate the same way, the law enforcement, fire, et cetera. So they are familiar with it, and we've had training and exercises with them as well. So I'm going to turn this over to Nelson about the notification tools and how we operate. If you have any questions, we'll...
Before you do,
Yeah.
Let's maybe address the issue that has arisen most recently. Councilmember Neil Dobler with the City of Topeka
Sure.
Asked a question about, is the Shawnee County, and I'm paraphrasing, but is Shawnee County Emergency Management the emergency management for the City of Topeka? And I think that if we can just clarify, are we the emergency management provider for the City of Topeka?
Sure. I can try to cover it. It's a little muddy, but I'll do my best here.
Mm-hmm.
We are hired by the county, as we just saw there. You guys are responsible for developing emergency management at the county level. Within the county, obviously, we have Topeka, the City of Topeka. We have Auburn, Silver Lake, Rossville, et cetera. We have many cities, many jurisdictions in Shawnee County. We provide certain things for the county based on what our job descriptions are, what's been asked of us. So we do the notification, which Nelson will get into here in just a minute. Tornado sirens, for example. We do the risk and threat. We teach all the classes. We do all those things at the wide level. Specifically for continuity of government, that's where you guys have hired us. We work specifically for you, the county. So we will do your COOP, your continuity of operations. We will do your COG. We specifically work with our departments for the county. The cities are expected, as in Silver Lake, Rossville, Topeka, Auburn. They have their governance over their employees and their departments. I have no authority in the city of Topeka unless it's granted to me. My authority is for countywide, and that's the same as the rest of our team here.
So if we were to look at the City of Rossville, they have their annual Tall Corn Festival. If the City of Rossville does not contact emergency management, we are not expected to draw up any emergency plans or response or how we would get services in or out. That's up to the City of Rossville because that's their event.
And that is basically, yes, that is correct. I will add to that, if we know of a threat that we're working with law enforcement or some kind of intel and there's been a threat to them, or they've reached out and asked us for planning assistance, of course, we're going to do whatever we can to assist.
But in the case of the country stampede, both when it was in Manhattan and Tuttle Creek and then also out at Heartland Park, the Shawnee County Emergency Management was involved with country stampede. Why was that?
We were directly requested. We do have expertise in our particular shop, and I'm very proud of the team that we've built. Scott Steele's logistics. He is one of the top known guys in the state for badging and accountability. Nelson's one of the top known guys in the state for communications. So they ask for that assistance, and it's also Kansas is a mutual aid state. So if they need those resources, because we consider them resources, much like a trailer or a truck, if they request it, then we show up because we work together. But that does not necessarily mean that we are paid by them or we have specific duties to them. It goes back to that National Incident Management System, and Incident Command. We have specific jobs that we do to support those elements.
So in a little bit more than a month from now, the City of Topeka will be celebrating St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day has a big parade historically. and that's downtown. Is that something that emergency management is involved in, or is that something that you have to be requested to be involved in?
There's a couple of elements that kind of go into those kind of things. The larger it is, the more attention gets paid to it. So I will start with that the city of Topeka, law enforcement specifically, ask us for planning assistance. We're there. We will help them as much as we possibly can. But we don't self-deploy. In other words, we're not just going to show up and say, hey, we got this. That's not how it works. It's very coordinated. So if they want assistance, then they reach out, and of course we're there. That said, there are elements that we do for the county. If there's an event that's 5,000 people or more, we're paying attention because we know our resources and our limitations, and that's the kind of balance. That's when we start really paying attention, because if something goes wrong on a large scale, we know that our resources could be used fairly quickly, and so we build an IEP, which is an incident action plan, or a hybrid of a plan to assist those large-scale events. So if something does go wrong, we're ready to go. So that's where we monitor for the county.
Good. Today's world, we see horrible tragedies that occur across the nation, senseless crimes. If the Topeka Bible Church, they have their Christmas light show. That's a private organization, private event that's open to the public. If they wanted to ask you your opinion of how they might set it up, would that be something that they would engage in, or is that something that you reach out to them and talk to them and say, hey, this is how we think you should set this up?
Again, if it's 5,000 people or more, we're probably going to reach out. If it's less than that, then we monitor, and we may offer assistance if we've seen something go bad in previous years, or or something risky. We might reach out. But normally, those private organizations, like you said, are private. However, if we do see something dangerous, we could reach out and say, hey, have you thought about this? But we again have no authority. We only go when we're asked. And if something does go wrong, then that game changes a little bit. But if we see something that could be dangerous, we're going to reach out and say, have you thought about this? Or we'll go through, many times we'll just work through law enforcement, because they're the ones that typically that these organizations reach out to first for safety, and rightly so, because they're going to be the ones responding initially, or fire department. So normally those organizations can take care of it really quick. We don't have to say anything. In fact, I can't think of the last time we had to without being an inquiry coming to us, but we're ready to help out, absolutely.
So to circle back around, we provide emergency management for Shawnee County,
Yes.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're telling the city of Topeka how to prepare for an emergency or set up their continuity of operations. That's something that they would have to engage with us for.
We will do our best to tell everyone in every city in Shawnee County how to prepare for an emergency. We will give the threat out. We will give the notification of the threat out. They will say, prepare this way, the weather's coming, or whatever the situation is. We will do that for the entire county. It doesn't matter if it's city or not. But what we don't do, just like you were saying, and we wouldn't do it for an organization, private or public, we don't know their structure, so we can't do their coops. We can't do those detailed things. We could tell them, you need a continuity of operations plan, you need a continuity of government plan, but that's not our role to do that. They need to find something.
Okay. At one time, the city had their own emergency management director, and they don't currently. Is there benefit in having an emergency management person who is a city employee that's working within our emergency management department? Is there benefit to that?
There's absolutely a benefit to it. There's coordinators, if you think of like that. Well, the city's a perfect example. They have 9 different jurisdictions within the city, so they can voice, people in the community can voice through their city council person. It's the same kind of thing. If I have a contact, which we pretty much do for all the jurisdictions, Auburn, Rossville, there's somebody that can talk to our office immediately if something's going on there. It's that one point of contact. So absolutely. And then as far as them being involved in their COOP or in their notification process, which we're going to see about here in a minute, the communication piece is really key. So it would definitely, especially a city size of Topeka that has quite a bit of the resources for the entire county if we had to use it. From mutual aid coming out of Shawnee County, coming out of the city to go help a soldier or a Rossville or wherever, that alone kind of tells you how the county works on emergencies. It would do the same thing at emergency management level, pre-planning, even doing after actions training and exercises and all that stuff. Yeah, it would definitely help with communication. Sure.
Commissioner Mays, Commissioner Rippon, questions?
No.
All right.
I think any questions I had, I think you've covered now. So.
Okay.
Okay. I'll have Nelson cover this last one.
Morning, Commissioners. Nelson Castile, Operations Chief. Briefly go over the notifications part of it here. You all, I know you're all on the email list because you remind me of how many emails you got at 2 a.m. or 3:20 in the morning about certain things, but we have a lot of notification tools at our disposal. We've got the email lists, we've got the Facebook, social media that we post all our public data on. We've also got the formerly Twitter X that we post on, and then for those that have verified subscriptions, we try to post on the Nextdoor neighborhood site and get that out to those folks. We also have a notification system that comes over the internet. It can come to your email, your phone, text, home phone. Matter of fact, I think it can come by fax still if there's that many of them out there. It's provided free of charge by the Northeast Kansas Homeland Security Regional Council, and we use that on the non-public side to notify our employees, some of the task forces that we have, AMR, the Communications Center. It's one of them things that during COVID, every morning at 6:05 for 6 months, you got a message asking you to make sure that you didn't have COVID that morning before you came to work. And that's kind of where we are with that. It's on the non-public side. The Nixle function, which is one we don't use that often, but we used it for the both of the stampedes, where we can put in a keyword and you text that keyword with your phone itself, sign up. And then if we have something that happens, we had some traffic issues, I believe the second year we were out there. So we told people, sign up here and we'll tell you where the traffic is less or where it's more when you're leaving or coming in. So right now we only utilize that non-public area. We don't do any of the weather watches, warnings, or any of that information that you see signed up. WIBW, KSNT, and a couple of the other news organizations, they have their own little text alert thing, so we didn't see fit to expand that. Originally, when we got the system for the 23 Northeast counties, there was 30,000 subscribers available for a certain price, which doesn't even cover 1/6 of our population, so we kept it non-public. Since then, we have unlimited, so we don't have to worry about that 30,000 mark across the 23 county region. Right now, I believe we've got 2,000 set up in there between city employees, county employees, the task forces, AMR, communications, and a couple of the other groups that we work with. This is the one, and you're going to see a really pretty chart here in a minute. It'll make you dizzy, but it's not that bad. Integrated Public Alert and Warning System. We purchased this in 2016 and 2017 as part of the capital improvement. What this does is allow us to activate the emergency alert system, which is that thing that probably when you're watching a football game, it comes up and tells you we're doing a test or somebody's doing a test of it. It also activates the wireless emergency alerts on your phones. You've undoubtedly received an Amber Alert. It's that same type of thing that comes up across there. We can activate that, and then the National Weather Service can activate the weather radios at our request, and it's all done from one single interface that's secure in our office. There's a lot of regulations, statutes, and requirements that we have to meet. Our notification tools, we try to provide all the information possible. Let folks have the information, make their choices. One of the best approaches that we've found is on the all hazards, we base it on life safety. What is the life safety, which normally means it needs to be a watch or a warning. If they issue a watch specifically for the National Weather Service, that normally means sometime later a warning could come out. It's not like an advisory where we have winter weather advisories all the time because the roads are just a little slick here and there. We concentrate on the life safety side of it. We don't want the overwarning or the alert fatigue to take place. So how we process that is we have about 7 questions we ask, and I won't go through all of them, but they all are based on life safety and what does that look like based on the threat or the hazard that we currently have. The one that we kind of work on the most are the last 2. Is it something that can wait? Do we need to wake people up at 3:05 in the morning and tell them there's flash flooding going on that is probably going to be solved by the time they get up at 7 o'clock? We have to weigh that. Are they traveling? If they aren't. Now, if it's during a K-State or KU football game and we've got a lot of travel coming through, then maybe we may want to activate that. So the other thing is on alert fatigue. We give that information out, but we do it and we spread it out. We don't, every time that we get a new update, we don't immediately push out the new update unless it's a warning. We wait until we can see what else everybody else is seeing. Perfect example of this is we've got tornado season coming up, and we have all those lovely little storm chasers that are going to be coming across, and half of them are going to go down roads that ain't existed for 50 years. And so we're going to have to deal with letting the public know what they are seeing out there, because they do have a legitimate purpose out there. They do report things to the Weather Service. The Weather Service, like us, take that ground truth into account and decide what is it we want that message to be coming out. Sometimes that gets lost because everybody posts on the Twitter thing and the Facebook and MySpace and all those other things. They post, information on a constant basis. We try to do a notification that says, okay, here is a snapshot in time. Here's what we know at this exact minute. Make a decision, and then we base the updates later on how severe it is. And then, of course, the distinctive audible tones. I will briefly say we do not activate for weather. However, you've all seen the polygons that go up. If your area is not impacted in that polygon where they say the danger is, such as we have a tornado downtown, but you're out at Westridge Mall shopping, it's probably not going to activate your phone at Westridge Mall because it's a GPS, and it's going to say, you're not in that danger area, these people are. And so they've been able, through the technology, and we've been able to do that as well, get that drilled down to these cell towers are in there. We always say give about a mile on each side because of the way the technology is. And again, we send that out because we want you to make a choice. We can't specifically order you to do something. If you want to send me pictures out there of the tornado and hearing the siren in the background, that's a decision you make, not me. I'll look at it, then I'll probably ask, why are you out there? Another one that we have, and you'll notice that I underlined the word outdoor. There's a reason for that. It's outdoor. Every Monday we get calls that they couldn't hear the sirens, and the first thing I asked was, where were you? Well, I was sitting here watching Young and the Restless, or whatever the new noon soap operas are, and we have to inform that is for outside use only. The county does not have a budget to have sirens where everybody in the county can hear them inside. That would take a lot of the budget. The other thing that we've done is, and we catch a lot of grief for this, however, people forget that when there's thunderstorms going on, lightning can travel a long ways. I don't remember what the record is, but I think it's 50-some miles in Kansas that we've had lightning strikes come out of the storm and harm people. And so even though you may not be in the tornado warning path, we still alert the whole county with the outdoor warning sirens. That's the same as me sending out a sit rep that says, hey, there's something bad happening. And the warning then makes you make a choice, make a decision about what do I do. We sign up, the first blast is 3 minutes, it's countywide. The second blast, thanks to your permission to upgrade our system, the second blast allows us to take the polygon, the weather service issues, overlay it onto our siren system here, which you can see the green, the purple, and the red that's all up there, and it will only activate those sirens. So that gets us away from that alert fatigue. If you're on the north end of the county and the tornado goes for 60 minutes, 60 divided by 20, or 60 divided by 3 is 20, and we sound them off 20 times, you're gonna get tired of it up north, and the next time that happens, you may not decide to make the choice that's best for your life safety. It really works well, and we're really happy with it. Again, they're outdoor warning sirens. We do have a couple of capital projects that we're looking at, those outdoor areas specifically to make sure that we can warn people. They're both voice and the long annoying 3-minute tone. Just briefly, Everbridge, we've got some previous restrictions that have been let go of, so we've been working when we've had to cancel. I guess we didn't cancel this year, but when we've needed to alert the different buildings, we can break down the different buildings on Everbridge on the notification tool. On any of the notification tools, unless it's iPause that comes out of our office, there is no GPS that just follows you around and notifies you via Everbridge or any of the other text alerting things. That can only be done by the government through the wireless emergency alert devices that are in there. So if you sign up, Commissioner Mays, for a for 33rd and Urish area, but you're watching the Chiefs in Kansas City, and we alert that area, you're going to get it because that's the static address. They don't, now you can go in if you are really wanting to get alerts and warnings and change that on a rolling basis, but wherever you sign up, so that's where we've had some confusion of, we'll have people say, well, it impacted this area, but I was in Florida and got this alert, don't do that again. Well, we need to change where your alert is there, so. Again, you get the sit reps that come out. The intent is always to provide all the information so that you folks can take action. You guys get to make those decisions. The iPause, again, all 7 of those questions, plus a lot of what we do when we test it or use it for the training and exercises, comes from a couple of the documents. The best one up there is this latest one from April 19. It talks about how to write a message so it is short, sweet, to the point, and allows people to have, I'm not going to say instant information, but at least have the most valid information at the time. They can always go get further information. They can, I believe at the end of some of them, the Weather Service says, tune into your local news, weather, and sports, or anything like that on television or radio. Lastly, we do not issue tornado warnings or flood warnings or anything like that. That's all done by statute and by federal law by the National Weather Service. They're the ones that issue those. They have specific parameters that they have to reach. We, however, and I'll give an example, during COVID on July 30th, 2020, we got hit with a bunch of rain. Whole county was under a flash flood warning for hours. We did not issue a flash flood warning. However, those folks in the Shunga Valley saw water going over a couple of the bridges this deep. We issued what was called a civil danger warning. We geofenced that area, so if you were in that area, we could tell you, please watch out for the Shunga, there's a flash flood warning coming. It's expected we're going to get this much more rain, and we were able to activate that. We have done that twice, I believe, the fire warning, because we have a lot of fire fuel coming up here this spring. Fire season ought to be, it ought to be any second now that it takes off. Those are the two that we've done so far. I'm happy to say that we're fortunate that we've only had to do those two, but we've also made sure that when we do this, it's not something that contributes to an alert fatigue, so. This is the pretty slide I showed you. This is the process if Commissioner Cook asked me to issue a fire warning for the pasture by Rich Eckert's house and do all this, or the incident commander asks, we follow everything through there. And we'll provide a copy of this slide deck to you so you can see it at the far, let's see, the far right-hand side there. It tells you the EAS goes to the TV and the radio. The mobile phones get the WEA, the weather radios, they get that. And then if you're on the internet with those wiggles or widgets or whatever they are that pop up there, if you've got that programmed. Ours does not go to social media or billboards yet, but we're working on it. And then the emerging technologies are some of those notification devices that you have out there that will, WIBW and KSNT have been known to forward on our warnings that way as well if they didn't get the area, so. And in conclusion here, true level of life safety risks. So, and that's our information. Our sit reps come from the IM up there. We're on Facebook, we're on X with Twitter, and then down below there shows you the other options we got, so.
Nelson, when there was the issue out at the water treatment facility, there was some discussion, both online and in the news, about this thing called Code Red. Is Code Red something that Shawnee County maintains, or is that something maintained by some other entity?
So, City of Topeka holds the contract. It's probably been 12, 13 years, I believe. Every year they pay for the contract. They send an invoice to the sheriff for half of it. The sheriff's office through dispatch uses it on the non-public side to make notifications to their deputies, to elected officials, anything like that. I don't know what side the city specifically uses. I know that they ask dispatch to notify them on what it is. The thing to understand is there is a public side which we don't, it's just like Everbridge, other than, it serves about the same purpose other than the little custom-made issues. There's a public side and a non-public side. We do not have a public side from what I've seen on their website, and I have not verified this. The city has a public side where you can sign up for certain advisories, alerts, warnings, stuff like that.
Okay. Other questions for Nelson?
I will just add, on any of the notification tools, we can put it out, but if you're not set up to get it, we can't do that part for you. So there is an element of public responsibility or personal responsibility to turn those things on your phone, or to have your TV on or radio on, or the alerts. If you go through and you mute your phone for those alerts, or you mute your weather radio or whatever else, we can't go past that. That's the personal decisions that Nelson was talking about. So we can put it out, but if you're not set up to get the message, we can't do anything about that. So that's why we teach and train and discuss all the time about having multiple ways of getting that signal. Whether it's a weather radio, don't rely on the sirens. As he mentioned, they're outdoor. If you're inside your house and you don't hear our sirens, well, good in a way, because your house is built with good insulation. So it's built to keep sound out. So you need to get a weather radio, alternate ways to get that message. So there is that personal responsibility you have to take as well.
Back in the day when Nelson was on MySpace and watching Young and the Restless, and before he got his smartphone, weather radios were a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But we seem to get more notices now by smartphone and apps and widgets and text. Is this weather radio something we should still have in our
Yes.
home?
Yes, absolutely. And it's kind of the same way as we put out our messages. You're gonna get a lot of information through your, whatever subscription service you're signing up for. They're trying to keep you informed so you can make the best decision. When it's life-threatening, it's gonna come through us, it's gonna come through WEA, it's gonna come through iPods, it's gonna come through weather radio. That's how you're gonna get the alert. And when you hear an alert, a warning, and we have this discussion a lot. What's the difference between a watch and a warning? A watch is watch, it could happen. A warning is take action. When you hear a siren, that means take action, do something. That's what these other systems are for. When you hear or see a warning, that means we want you to take cover. That's the choice we want you to make. But as Nelson said, if you're on your porch filming our siren, that's not the choice we want you to make. We're sounding that siren so you can protect your life.
Maybe the last question I've got for either of you. This is getting into dangerous weather season with tornadoes and floods and everything. And I know in the past we've talked about go bags and having something ready. What's the number one thing that people forget to put in their go bag?
Notification tool. How are you gonna get if you have batteries, anything like that, how do you know that it's over? Because we don't sound it all clear. You still need a way to get that continuous information. So a lot of those bags, if they're a short-term thing, we're just a couple of minutes in the shelter, you still need that radio. If you're talking long-term, 72 hours, of course we want you to have water and we want you to have all those things to protect yourself. But you still have to have a way to get information.
Questions? All right.
Just the last ad, the weather, I just lost the date.
Weather spotter.
Weather spotter class is coming up in March. It's the same day as
First Monday.
first Monday in October. So that's coming up soon. We're trying to get those dates and times in stone so we can then broadcast them out. So we'll be pushing that out soon.
In the past, emergency management, if contacted, would do some maybe advice to groups, organizations, churches, businesses. Is that something still people can contact emergency management
Absolutely. If
for
you
doing
want
threat assessment?
yeah, we're more than happy to help. Of course, within our limitations, we can help. But if they want a class for a safety day or a safety luncheon, something like that, a weather briefing or a behind-the-scenes look, or even a tour of the EOC, just got to contact us. And the easiest way to do that is going through snco.us/en and just contact us. We have our emails and our phone numbers there as well.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
We are at our next item, which is public comment. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak today? Okay. Administrative communications, is there any department head or? Seeing none. Commissioner Mays, do you have anything?
Go Chiefs.
Commissioner Ribbon?
I ditto that.
I understand that we have a couple of functions at the State House this week. Tuesday, I believe, is Topeka Day at the Capitol, where the city of Topeka and different entities and organizations are going to be talking to legislators about things that are going on within the city of Topeka. And then Commissioner Mays isn't County Day on Thursday.
County Day at the Capitol is Thursday, all day long, starting at 8 a.m., I believe. We will have a table from Shawnee County. The Brian Cole from the Department of Corrections is going to be there, talking to legislators, hopefully at least, about our mental health facility that we'd like to get built. And so, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the health department might be helping out with their association table as well. I'll be there most of the day, except for when I'm here at our meeting. And then, yeah, the Topeka Day at the Capitol replaced the annual welcome breakfast that we used to do on the first day of session. So this is a new thing that the chamber is trying this year. So hopefully it's a success.
We are working on getting a groundbreaking date set for the Oakland pool, so stay tuned. That will be coming soon to do a groundbreaking over in Oakland. And as we get started on that project and still looking at a summer opening for the Oakland pool. I don't have anything additional, so we are adjourned.